Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NotBland Show, and I'm your host, Dujane Bland. And today we're going to talk a little NFL up front. We'll hopefully have a guest for that. If not, I've always got that covered. We're hoping that we'll have Bowie Television's own Darrell Owens, and he's a really good camera guy, catches a lot of cool shots. If you don't remember from last year during the Dallas Cowboy game, he was the one who saved the cheerleader from getting hit by the ball. During a kickoff or punt or something like that. But yeah, so hopefully we have him on. If not, we'll carry that. We're going to talk a little drag racing on the back end. U.S. Nationals just happened. We're on to the playoffs now. It's going to be an interesting playoffs when we start looking at everything. No one car has been super consistent. There have been some that have gathered more wins than others in the last 6 races, but overall, it's been a up and down and a who's who of who might win and who may go round. So that's always interesting. Of course, want you guys to subscribe and like this show, share it if you can. And we're going to take a break. It was a terrible drag race bracket bonanza weekend again. My top fuel bracket was completely done after first round. Dead in the water. I did a little bit better in funny car, a little bit better in pro stock bike, and a little bit better in pro stock. My 2 winners went out early again. Again, talking about this topsy-turvy, weird, regular season that we've had. It's only going to get weirder when we get to the playoffs. So I did gain some ground. But if you guys haven't gotten involved with this drag race bracket bonanza, you don't need to know anything about drag racing, but this is how you get involved. And when we come back, we'll have Bowie Television's own Darrell Owens.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
We have the ticker running at the bottom of the screen. If you want to join this, you can still join. The playoffs begin in about 2 weeks. Yeah, about 2 weeks. So, Darrell, what's going on, man? It is week 1 already of the NFL season, and it seems like we were just talking about the NFL draft.
Time goes by so quick, doesn't it, D?
It does. It does. Oh, man. I'm excited about football being back. We've got some interesting stories and interesting things going on along with in the NFL. And I look at this first game on Thursday, and the Dallas Cowboys send Micah Parsons to your lovely team, the Green Bay Packers, for about maybe a lifetime's worth of gum and a little lint out of the pocket to get this man. This has the makings of a game that is going to be extremely lopsided, and we're going to have some Cowboys fans that are going to be looking to bury their head in the sand right after week 1.
Look, so there's a couple of things. I'll start off with Micah and Dallas real quick. I just want to say that I was shocked because it doesn't happen. If you're a Packers fan or enthusiast, as I like to call myself, it just doesn't happen. I mean, it's only the other 2 times we got somebody this high profile with Charles Woodson and Reggie White, right, which eventually did lead to Super Bowls, and fingers crossed, knees crossed, ankles crossed. But I want to say that this trade to me works out for both teams no matter what. And one is because if you look at Dallas, yes, you're able to pay your other guys. Obviously it didn't look like the way things were starting to look. You would have 3 really high profile players on your team spending a lot of money and eating up space for your other, and you would have to really hope that your team has been developed properly throughout the draft, which they've hit on some people throughout. Yeah. So that's one thing, right? But you look at it and say, well, you get Kenny Clark is 29 years old, 2 or 3 Pro Bowls, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's at least 2, but he's been in the Pro Bowl multiple times. and he's a solid defensive tackle. Like that, that's a need they needed that will help him out. Now, he's obviously not Michael Parsons. We can't sit there and sugarcoat that he's not Michael Parsons, but I think that the trade could work out for both teams. Dallas just won half. They're going to have to hit on these 4 first-round picks, and for Green Bay's never. If you look in Green Bay's history, they don't do well with first-round picks. They just don't. I mean, I can name, Clay Matthews, BJ Raji, maybe AJ Hawk, but most of the time from between now and like early, 2000s, they just don't hit on the picks. All of their hits, Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, Jordy Nelson, all those guys, Bakhtiari, all those guys were late-round picks. Yeah. They've always developed. So that's why I said, you're a Packers fan, losing 2 first-rounders, it doesn't hurt as much as you think. When okay, they usually historically do well in the other round. So I think overall it's a great trade for both. And I think the Packers have a chance with a top 10 defense from last year to add a generational piece as long as he stays healthy.
That's the key.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And I agree. I think it's time for the reset for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if he's truly going to reset. It is Jerry Jones. And some of the things that I hear him saying, it's like, this isn't, people are adamant that it's not like the Herschel Walker trade. And to me, it has like similarities, and it's kind of reeks of that because the way Jerry is talking, I think he thinks this is like the Herschel Walker trade. Yeah. I think this is what they had to do. I still don't think that this is going to – I would not be too happy about this if I'm a Cowboys fan. I still think they need to do what the Washington Commanders fans did and have anarchy and cut the money train off from him. And that might change things. I don't think anything changes from here on out. I think it's much of the same as status quo as long as Jerry Jones still thinks that he can do all the things he did in the 90s. So
and I agree with you 100%. It's going to stay that way. Look, in a lucky world, maybe it does work out, and Jerry has something to smile about. But here's the thing: it's been 30 plus years. Cowboys fans are the loudest and the proudest in the league, no matter what. And as long as he's making money, Jerry doesn't care. Right. I mean, he really doesn't care. I mean, he's making money hand over fist. You got the number 1 rated franchise, I believe, if not in the world, definitely in the United States. So he's in a good spot. He doesn't really need to, and as long as that Cowboy fans soak it in, he's fine. He's fine.
Exactly. Yep. It's true. I look over at the NFC North, and I think with the Lions lose 2 great coordinators, and usually when you do lose that, Dan Campbell's great, but when you lose coordinators, sometimes you take a step back. Now I look at the moves that Green Bay made here with this big move with Micah Parsons. I think Green Bay is going to be giving them a run for their money. Now, of course, it's all predicated on which man we get in Jordan Love as quarterback. I think they did a great job, and Golden was a great pick for them to kind of round out that wide receiver core. Watson hasn't really turned in to be what we thought he would be. Kind of been injured a lot, but you couple that with you can get him weapons and couple that with that defense. We could see a change in the guard at the NFC North title, being that I think you do have to factor in losing those 2 coordinators to coaching jobs.
Yeah, I agree 100%. The last time we seen a team lose both that I can remember that was so high profile were the Eagles. And the Eagles did take a small step back, and that was right after the Super Bowl when they went against Kansas City. It took them a couple years, but they were right back in the mix. But it doesn't always happen that way. And so historically, losing both coordinators is usually can be a really tough thing, and not just any 2 coordinators. We're talking about top tier coordinators. Aaron Glenn is, rated across the league as the coach that everybody wants to play for. That's what he was, voted on. So, I mean, that alone gives him that certain amount of clout. And you can just see the passion. He's got a lot of that Dan Campbell rubbed off on him, along with being, a passionate player. Ben Johnson, the genius, going to Chicago, seeing what he can do. It's going to be tough. So I think they do take a small step back this year, but I don't know if it's a massive step back. I mean, the division is going to be intriguing because Chicago on paper looks like they just came locked and loaded, ready to finally do something,
Right.
and it's all predicated if Caleb Williams continues to grow, if the system that Ben Johnson has works out with that 2 tight end threat will commit and Loveland, all that stuff is going to have to come together for Chicago. Now, as a lot of people may think, Minnesota takes a step back, I have this weird vibe that JJ McCarthy is not going to fail like some people think he is. I think that they're in a really good spot. McCarthy's won a national championship. He doesn't have to come in and do anything crazy. What's the head coach name? O'Connell has done a really good job of putting quarterbacks in good situations for years, and I don't think he's going to put him in a situation to fail. You've got too much talent. You got Jordan Mason at running back. You got Aaron Jones, who's the consummate pro at running back. You bring Adam Thielen back. You got Hawkinson. You got Justin Jefferson. The Vikings, to me, could be the team that win this division this year. That's what I'm like kind of leaning towards. But with Green Bay has all the talent in the world. Top 10 defense last year, top 10 offense, 11 wins, but they couldn't win in the division. They went 1-5 in the division. So you look at all that and you say, how do you figure that out if you're Green Bay? You go get a Michael Parsons. Now, will that be the piece that puts them over the top? The biggest thing for me, you got to catch the football. You go back and watch last year, they led the league in drops. I think they had like 35, 38. It's some crazy number in drops for your wide receivers.
Drops,
you can't do that.
No.
You cannot drop the football. You had a top 8 defense, and you led the league in drops. Imagine if you catch those. We're talking top 2, maybe the best offense in the league. So there's a lot of potential there for the youngest team in the league, and probably they're probably the team that just baffles people the most. Because they know it's there, but can they pull it all out?
Yeah, I'm with you on JJ McCarthy. We saw Kevin O'Connell here in Washington and what he was able to do. I have no doubt if he was able to take Sam Darnold and create what he created with that, I'd have no doubt that he can do the same thing with JJ McCarthy. I think JJ is a little bit underrated, being that what they were asking him to do in Michigan didn't really showcase everything that he could do as a quarterback. So I really do think that they definitely could be a surprise as well. I'm really interested to see what Caleb Williams does. The maturation process has to happen. My biggest question is, does Ben Johnson still get cute and do cutesy things that cost him games? Because he did some cutesy stuff in the NFC Championship game, and Washington mollywopped them for that. So that's my concern there. Looking over out in California, we have a man named Matthew Stafford coming into week 1 dealing with a back injury, and they say that he's full go. These back injuries just don't all of a sudden miraculously heal themselves because you've been sitting out for a couple preseason games.
Exactly.
This is very, very interesting, and I'm really concerned and interested to see what happens when he takes that first hit. Are we going to see Stetson Bennett pretty quickly? Is Sean McVay making a mistake by putting him out there right now, week 1?
So I would say yes and no. I mean, look, Matt knows his body. Super Bowl winner, Pro Bowler. I mean, there's a strong argument for Hall of Fame. Yeah. He's making a strong case for Hall of Fame, and especially it's tough, I know, because of all those years in Detroit. But he still played at a pretty high level.
He did.
The back issue is no problem. Just say, and I'll jump the mic real quick. If it was me, I wouldn't even let him play this week. Personally, give him another week or give him up to the Washington game, and then let him play. That's just me. Yeah. But with Matt, resting him, they've got a really solid offensive line. A young offensive line at that in LA, and they're going to have to protect him with all of their might to make sure that he can get through this season. Because my personal opinion, spoiler, I have the Rams going to the Super Bowl if Stafford is healthy. I said it last year, and they almost made me look like geniuses because I had them and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl last year. They almost had me looking like geniuses. I'm going to go with them again this year, but mostly because of the young talent and McVay and oh God, I can't think of the GM name. Sneed.
Yes.
Yeah. So they did a really good job of drafting. I mean, if you go look at the young talent that they've got on their team, the Quentin Lakes, the Kobe Turners, the Versus, they've done a really good job for a team that didn't have picks for a couple of years to come in and then just knock on the door and do a really good job of draft picks. They've been able to build pieces on the line. They get Puka Nacua. It just keeps working, and they've done a really good job of drafting. And I just got a feeling if he can stay healthy, they can win the NFC. And they're my pick right now. I could be off on it, and that's cool. But I really like the Rams, and I like what they can do. So if he's healthy, it's going to be. But if he gets hurt, you can cancel Christmas on that one, my friend. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's not going to be good. And in that division, it is a weaker division. 49ers are dealing with injuries coming out of the gate. We really don't know what the Arizona Cardinals are with Kyler Murray and company. Seattle still learning, and we'll see if they take another step under McDonald here in year 2. So they do have a really good opportunity to be able to kind of seize the moment there and win that and win the West. So that is a interesting pick. I've got the Commanders, and I've got it all Beltway Super Bowl.
I'm good with that.
And Ravens here, but I can see that. I can see that. McVay has done some really interesting things with what appears to be very little. When we look over at the AFC South, and it's a team that I am spending my time covering. I do it for Heavy.com, also for Sports Journey. I look at Liam Cohen as a guy that if he can just be a leader of men, and he seemed to be his natural self. I mean, we saw it with the weird Duval thing.
Oh, come on now, Duval.
So if he can just do what he does as an offensive coordinator, he is going to make Trevor Lawrence just that much better. He's going to maximize a lot of the things that he can do well. And you look at the weapons they have around him, from Travis Hunter to Brian Thomas Jr. You look at I think they got 4 excellent backs. They all won't be, active, but they have 4 excellent backs, and they have improved the offensive line, which that was an Achilles heel. I mean, as total between Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence, it was 32 sacks last year. That can't happen. That can't happen. And defensively, I feel like they've improved through the draft and bringing some guys in. This is a wide open AFC South. Really don't know what you're going to get from Houston. Really don't know what you're going to get from the Titans as they're bringing out a new quarterback. Maybe they have one weapon on offense. And Indy is Indy. It's Daniel Jones. So we don't know what we're going to get with this guy. Where do you see it? Could the Jacksonville Jaguars be the Washington Commanders of 2025?
They have a strong chance of being that team that can kind of bounce back. I mean, look, you make a good point about the running back room. They've got a lot of good, solid running backs down there, where they can kind of maybe keep themselves from getting banged up so much and really just kind of work people on that end. I like the receiving core. I'm excited to see what Travis Hunter is going to do. I think he's going to draw a lot of attention, but that's just going to be a beautiful thing for guys like De'Ami Brown once he gets fully, back to where he needs to be. De'Ami came on real strong last year for the Commanders, and this is a chance for him to kind of go to another new spot and really, have a chance to maybe make a name for himself. And then you got Brian Thomas Jr., who was, stud out of last year. They on paper offensively feel like they've gotten a lot better. And I think that Cohen, he gives me the vibe, maybe not Dan Campbell, but and maybe a struggle the first year, but he gives me that vibe of a coach that people love to be around, a coach that people love to listen to. Like I say, it may not be the same exactly, but somebody that if not this year, by next year or the year after, that this team's going to be ready to really rock and roll. But I don't want to say it's do or die for this team, but they've had moments. They went to playoffs 2 years ago. They were looking good. I can't remember if it was last year or year before last, where they were first in the AFC, and then Lawrence got hurt, and then it just fell apart from there. So they got to keep Trevor upright and healthy. Trevor's got to make some smarter decisions out there, but I think it could happen. And unfortunately for Trevor, he's had a little bit of a turmoil run. This is his third head coach, and he's been in the league since 2021? He's been in the league, and he's got this is third head coach. So hopefully that works out for him. Houston, for me, is a team that I think they'll be fine. You know, I love D'Amico Ryans being head coach there. Problem for me is they can't keep receivers healthy. It has just been insane. I mean, last year I felt like they lost everybody. Nico was hurt at one point. You know, Diggs goes down with the ACL, and he was playing well. Tank Dell was doing well. He gets hurt. So now they've had to draft more receivers, and, you know, they're trying to figure that out there. I think that's their biggest Achilles heel. Can they keep the receivers on the field? And if they can keep them healthy and productive, you know, I think they'll be fine. The Colts, I got the Colts in my mind, and because I've been getting ready for my my preview of the season. I got the Colts top 5 easily next year, picking in the draft, and it's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be a battle between them and the between them, the Titans, and the Saints for that number one spot. Yeah. I could be wrong, but this is Daniel Jones's chance. This is his last chance. You know, they brought him in because they wanted somebody a little bit more stable, you know, in the position. And, you know, if Daniel Jones wants a chance to shut some of the naysayers down, this is his chance. The team, they were terrible in defense last year. They were struggling on the defensive side last year. This is going to be a big year for, you know, for the head coach, for Jones, that we could, you know, the GM, we could see complete overhaul at the end of the season, depending on how this goes. And, you know, with some of the stellar quarterbacks they got coming out next year, it's going to be, you know, put up or shut up for Richardson, if he even gets on the field, and Jones. And then last but not least, the Titans. The Titans, to me, could be a team that do some good things, but you could tell they're still developing. And they're so, I won't say young, but it feels like they're so young and so no name right now. That could work out in their favor. I don't know. But I mean, for me, the AFC South is one of those, could be a wide open division. You really just don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah, that was my thought. I think it's really wide open. I think if the Colts want to have success, they have to take the formula that was provided by Dayball and company when Saquon Barkley was there. They have a good running back in Jonathan Taylor. If they want to have that playoff Daniel Jones, which everybody speaks about, but leaves out the fact that he has Saquon Barkley. Yeah, you got to get Taylor involved and have a very quality style running game. Get him out on bootlegs, get him out in space, let him be able to kind of create a little bit and get him comfortable. I think that's the way to success. If you're going to try to buck that system, that's not who he is, and he's not going to be successful. I do think starting him is the right thing to do. I know a lot of people think they're giving up on Richardson, but I think if you start Richardson and he starts out poor, when you pull him, you can never go back to him, and it's over for him in Indy. So I think this gives him an opportunity to sit back, look, listen, learn, and then we'll see where it goes from here. And I don't think the Houston Texans offensive line, and I wrote an article about this on heavy.com. You can find it under the Heavy on Houston Texans. And I don't think the offensive line is going to be as bad as everybody thinks it is. I really do think that they drafted a very good offensive lineman in the draft. And then you have the little pieces around that can help. With a guy like C.J. Stroud, he has the ability to move. They actually have some running backs in the room now that can actually get some yardage. Like you said, if the receiving core can stay healthy and they don't allow them to key in on the run, they probably could surprise and take this division, being that you have everybody else around them is kind of in a reset mode or a rebuild mode. So they really could be the ones that step up and take the division. But I think it's between them and Jacksonville for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Houston feels like they're maybe a couple players away and being healthy from being a dominant team in the AFC. They're just sitting there. They're like teetering. Like they just got to figure out everything. I mean, you got the young quarterback, you got the young defensive stud, and Will Anderson. They feel like they could be just right there, but it's a very heavy AFC. So, you know, I guess we'll see.
We'll see, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, want to first thank you guys. Thank you for coming on, and man, we're gonna do more of this with you guys and Bowie TV. That you guys are family to us over here at
Yes,
Sports
sir.
Journey, and man, I'm really looking forward to the coverage that y'all gonna be bringing this season. It's gonna be awesome, man. You guys are doing some really, really good stuff. Tell everybody where they can find your work at, and we're gonna have to get you and the boys on for a wrestling show over here.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, I'll talk to the guys. I'm pretty sure they'd be up for it. So you can find myself, Darrell Owens at DLO _ legacy. That's on Twitter, the X, and on IG. I'm Darrell Owens Senior on Facebook, LinkedIn, same dream. And of course, Bowie Television. You can find us on all social media platforms at Bowie TV Sports. And then Legacy Maker Sports Network, you can catch me on pretty much on the same thing, just Legacy Maker Sports Network. Yeah, man, I'm pumped up about next week. 2 games next week.
2 games.
2 games next week. Yeah. Go get the Giants and then head on to Green Bay to see how things go next week.
That's what's going. Oh man, that's gonna be awesome, bro.
Yeah, awesome. I'm a little bit excited about it. It should be fun. Should be fun.
Yes, sir. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Well, Darrell, thanks for taking the time to come on, and I look forward to having you back on a lot this season.
No problem, D. Just let me know, brother.
For sure, for sure. Darrell Owens, everybody. And we will go ahead and take our break. And when we come back, we're going to have the founder and owner of Drag Race Reference, the historian of the NHRA and of Speed Sports 1, my man, Dave W. Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall will be back September 10th. Will be the first show Wednesday, September 10th. It will be on the NHRA's Fast channels. If you guys haven't seen all of the episodes, you can find them there on the NHRA's Fast channels or the YouTube channel for Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall. Dave W., what's going on, man? You got a interesting week. We just had the U.S. Nationals, and you, sir, will be on your way to Durana Raceway. See, the Duranas are confusing me. I'll get it. For the IHRA event.
You got to think of the former track name, National Trail Raceway.
Right.
So just Durana is replacing National Trail, so it's Durana Raceway. You had Milan Dragway, so it just replaces the name, so it's Durana Dragway. When we go to Dragway 42, it'll be Durana 42 in West Salem.
I
don't know what they're going to be calling the lot, but we'll find out there.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun weekend. But we'll start with the U.S. Nationals. Man, I think we had and got our money's worth, especially when you add in Erica Enders. But you look at Ashley stepping up to the plate and getting a win. Obviously, we all knew Proc was going to take the title for the year, and he also took the U.S. Nationals. Gage Herrera, I think it was kind of writing on the wall. We thought maybe Braden Davis could sneak in there, but he's still having those hiccups at the most inopportune time. It was a really good U.S. Nationals. It was long, but Monday was pretty good.
It was, and the weather, I think, is what played in everybody's favor, and that's what allowed this race to be what it was. I mean, who would have thought when you go to Indy in September, because I was there last year, and man, were we sweltering in that heat. Who would have thought you would have seen the fastest speed in NHRA history set during the U.S. Nationals, the way Brittany Force did with that 343 in first round. The weather played in everybody's hand. The track was good. The funny cars complained a little bit about the tricky spot in the right lane, but we had winners in the right lane too. So it didn't really seem to materialize. You had winners on both sides. You had just upsets galore. I mean, the weekend in general, like you say, it's a marathon. You've got stuff going on every day. You think you got your favorites picked. first round, top fuel, bottom half of the field wins just about every race. And you don't see that very often, but
You don't.
that's just part of Indy. The upsets galore, and it's nice to see different faces going rounds. And ultimately, yes, Justin Ashley's won. It's not his first win of the year. Erica is her first win in since Gainesville last year, which is just unfathomable to think.
Yes, it is.
But Gage Herrera, Austin Price, you look at the winners list and you're kind of like, well, that's kind of status quo. But the way they got to where they got to was nothing but status quo for those guys.
Yeah, you look at Justin Ashley. In his last 7 races, he's been 17-4 round win-loss record, and he's got 3 wins. Doug Coletta, 14-5 in the last 7, 2 wins. Sean Langdon, 14-6, 1 win. Tony Stewart, who was gifted the regular season championship by Justin Ashley, he is 11-7 in his last 7 with no wins. And your Speed Queen is 8-7, no wins. It really is, when you look at Top Fuel, it really is kind of showing because if you think about it, there's been a lot of teams that have got wins, but it just doesn't feel like it's been consistent, and they have been consistent. But when you look at, which Brittany's, I believe, is in 5th, they haven't been. They've set the world on fire. They've had a lot of conversation, but it has not translated on race day, and that is important, and that's where they're going to have to get better at if they want a shot at winning a championship.
I mean, it's true. You've heard it repeated over and again on TV show as well as on NHRA TV that David Grubnick has said he would trade every one of these 340-mile-an-hour speeds for round wins and race wins, because that's really where it boils down to at the end of the day. But having the quickest and fastest car on property never hurts, especially going into the fall and going into these good weather races and these good tracks, because if you can get it down the track, time's on your side. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. This is going to be interesting just in general, because the round loss records that you've read off on these guys and girls, it's interesting to see who is potentially getting hot at the right time and who might be fading from early season glory. So one of your questions that you had earlier, one of my research projects for tonight's show, is how many regular season champions ended up being world champions? Well, the numbers might surprise you. In the 17 countdowns we've had, because we didn't have one in 2020 thanks to COVID, on the Top Fuel side of things, they have had the most regular season champions become countdown champions at 10. Does that bode well for Tony Stewart because he snuck in there and picked it up at the end of the day? Maybe it does. Or is he just going to be one of those statistics and we're going to stay at 10 and we're going to have another upset winner because Justin Ashley, Doug Coletta, Sean Langdon, I mean, these guys are peaking at the right time. Mm-hmm. And Justin Ashley, you put a race car under him and you know he's going to cut the tree down. That's where his advantage is going to come from coming forward. So it's interesting to see how this is going to play out. But yeah, I agree on Brittany. They would definitely love to have a little bit more ET and a little more consistency with that to keep up with the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's going to be needed because the top 3 or 4 are just light years above right now. This looks like in Funny Car, I know we've seen Hagan kind of improve. We've seen Caps doing a little bit here and there. But outside of those and Jack Beckman, everybody else has been floundering. We see Alexis DeJoria gaining a little bit of momentum, being able to go some rounds, especially at Indy. But, I mean, really, when you look at Paul Lee, you look at J.R. Todd, Dan Wilkerson, out of that from 5 to 10 is probably been the most consistent. But Alexis DeJoria, Spencer Hyde, Bob Tasker, they all have been floundering around out there, flapping around like a flounder out of water, and really has never been able to gain any type of footing. And right now, the people who have the footing is JFR, period, in Funny Car.
Well, and we looked at last year, the end of the year shows that we did. I believe one of the statistics on Austin Prock was about an 85 or 90% run completion rate across the entire season, including qualifying runs. And that's where you win. Consistency wins. He's not had that same type of consistency this year. That car has smoked the tires and had a lot more aborted runs than we're used to seeing out of it.
Yeah.
But he's still light years ahead of everybody else. So what does that say for everybody else and their consistency? I mean, right now, that's what everybody is searching for in that category, because you just, man, and this is probably just another example of how hard this thing really is to do, how hard this category is, how hard this class is, how hard it is to get a funny car down the track and repeat, because everybody that you mentioned is a national event winner or national event capable winner. And we're still talking about Austin Prock. Basically, if he didn't have that just uncharacteristic double step in the Mission Foods final, would have swept the weekend in a most impressive John Force 1996 U.S. Nationals kind of way, with the regular season championship, the shootout, the Indy win, and then potentially the Mission Foods win too.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, he's like I said, he's on demon time. He's been on demon time, and I think he's going to be extremely tough to beat in this playoffs. I don't think they're playing around. Reading has been one of those places where we can see some really cool temperatures and some it can be a fast track. Somebody's going to have to step up and slay the dragon, and if you don't, I don't see anybody else winning a championship in funny car but him.
But to that point, all of the racers in the funny car category are going to love this statistic. Out of the 17 countdowns, the amount of times the regular season champion has become the world champion.
Dang.
That is the lowest amount out of any of the professional categories. Only 5 times has the regular season champion become the world champ. However, it's happened twice in the last 5 years. Austin Prock last year and Ron Capps in 2021. So the rest of the category is going, oh, thank God. I'm glad we got those points back because we got a shot. And statistically speaking, that is the category that you're going to make the best amount of coverage in. And, what is the regular season championship really worth? I know they made kind of a big deal about it, and it is nice now because there's money behind it, which is always nice. But
yes,
who remembers the regular season champions? Well, in funny car, Tim Wilkerson was a regular season champion. Mike Neff was a regular season champion. Courtney Force was a regular season champion. And we don't ever think about that. We don't ever think about them guys being champions in that perspective. Definitely championship caliber drivers. But if they had this award way back since the start of the countdown, maybe you'd look at them a little bit differently. But it doesn't seem to be as consequential other than just a nice monetary bonus for the crew guys going through the last 6.
Right. And I mean, I kind of like it in football. You think about those who may have been in an NFC championship game in the Super Bowl. You really don't think about the division winners until you get back to the next season, when you start talking about teams coming into the new year and where they finished. So that may be a topic of conversation next year when we're coming into the season. But yeah, you likely won't think of that when we get to the championship time and we're crowning champions. So maybe it'll get better as we do this a little bit more. Pro stock. What is going on here? Dallas Glenn, Greg Anderson having hiccups, and believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, Erica Enders was, I believe, 13th coming into Indy, like well out of the top 10. She's an 8th now.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing what a win can do and how close the bottom half of the field is.
Right. So, with her being able to get a win, is she someone that can come from the bottom and steal this championship coming out of the deep, dark depths of the grave? I mean, like, she busted her hand from being buried in the ground to get up above ground. She is at least chest up out of the grave. Can she get all the way out of the grave and get a championship?
I mean, look, the honest answer is she didn't become a 6-time champ from, just for looking good.
Right.
The woman is still a driver. She can still get up on the wheel. She can still cut the tree down. And when the car is under her and she's got confidence on her side and knows when it's her day, there ain't much that's going to stop her.
Right.
And I think that some of the battles that they ended up having in qualifying, her and Greg lined up a few times, and obviously they lined up in the Mission Foods final as well. So
yeah.
I think that it's something that she uses for motivation. And what I don't understand, though, is reading online, which, my mistake, you read all that stuff and all the drivers are like, don't read the internet. The internet's full of all kind of stuff. I was very surprised to hear it was kind of a mixed bag of congratulations for Erica and a mixed bag for, they were taking dives because they felt like the elite team, specifically the Stanfields that she beat, particularly Aaron coming up in round 2 with a hurt motor and never launched off the starting line, gifted her those round wins. But the last I checked, those were the first 2 rounds, and she still beat Dallas Glenn and Matt Hartford to actually win the race. So I didn't quite understand that was a gift, or, they took dives, or, they got – it didn't make any sense to me, and I wish that people would kind of think a little bit broader than just that comments, because you still had to beat 2 KB cars to make it happen.
I mean, let's not be disrespectful.
Had an elite ride all the way through.
Right.
And you're racing the regular season champion in the semifinals, who is so up on the chip and wanting to beat you off the line that he jumps the tree and goes red because he's trying to cut the best light that he can, and drove around Matt Hartford in the finals. So, I mean, the car is there. The car is running. The car is at the top of the sheets again. It maybe not be putting 40s out there like the 2 KB cars are, but she's in their heads now.
Yeah, I believe so. I really think this could be a huge story. And it seems like as they have been kind of chipping away at this, she's gotten a couple rounds, and here we are. You win Indy. There's just something. It's just something about what I saw from her this weekend, and I started thinking today. I didn't look at the points, so I didn't realize she was this far up. Yeah. But I'm like, this could be the biggest comeback we've ever seen in pro stock. And that car, with her driving it, has now been able to consistently put up laps that are very much on par with what Dallas and Greg are doing. Now it's just a matter of starting line. And we already know that she can be hella dangerous on the starting line. So now that she has a car, guys like Aaron Stanfield right now, Eric Latino, you look at Jeg, you look at Aaron Stanfield, Corey, Matt, those people aren't better than her. They're not. As of right now, when we look at the last, 3 races, they are not better than her. If I'm going to get 10 times out of 10, they might get 2 out of those 10 if the cars are even. Right. So she can go and get up close to Greg and Dallas. And Lord forbid they have to meet her at any point that's not semifinal or final round. You start chipping away and start knocking them out early, boy, you find yourself in a tight race there with the 2 KB cars. And I don't think it's a good idea when Erica Enders smells blood in the water. That could be very dangerous for both Greg and Dallas.
And you're 100% right. I mean, you erase a 600-point deficit. She's in the top 10, which, I mean, granted, she picked up those 5 positions just because that's how close everybody is in competition. You had a couple guys in front of her DNQ, and plus going rounds and winning the race. That just basically kind of shows how close everybody that's not Greg Anderson and Dallas Glenn is.
Yeah.
And that's how much that those two were ahead of the game. But you very, very clearly stated that the couple of drivers that are in front of her, I mean, that's 2 rounds of racing. She's 4th in points.
Yeah.
It's not unheard of. She could be top 4 in points leaving Reading, and they were going to a 4 wide in the countdown, and that's going to be a monkey wrench for everybody.
Dude.
So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. And if you remember last year, it was the big 4: Greg, Erica, Dallas, and Aaron Stanfield were the final 4 at about 3 or 4 races in a row coming down the stretch until Dallas had that first round loss at Vegas, and it was still a three-person race going into the finals. But I don't know that you'll see that again this year because the elite team is kind of putting themselves together. Erica's definitely getting together, but as a whole, I don't see anybody else with her stepping up. And in the same vein, I was very, very shocked, as I'm sure most people were, that Troy Coughlin Jr. missed another race. Me too. Never even got the car down the track in 5 runs. That is not like that team. To have those kind of issues.
Yeah, that was wild. I don't think we've seen him DNQ before, but they at least got the car down the racetrack. Just couldn't run the numbers.
Right.
That car never made it down the racetrack. That was very shocking for Troy to not make one clean pass. That was wild.
Yeah, for sure.
Pro stock motorcycle. I think this is Greg. I think this is Gage and Richard's battle here. Matt's got to show me that he doesn't piss down his leg at the most important time when he needs to be on his game, and not doing the intimidating stuff that costs you to leave late on the light. Until he can prove that he can do those things and he can do all the right things, I think this is all a Vance and Hines deal. And maybe John Hall can mix it up a little bit because I think he's been the most consistent MSR bike as of late. The rest are just trying to fight for position to brag to sponsors about.
Well, and it could be an entirely different story if we knew for sure that Braden Davis was going to run the last 6 countdown races because he snuck his way in. And
yes, he did.
On a whole shot, man. And I tell you what, Braden, man, I was pulling for you because I put 20 on you, and that was going to be a big payday if you won that deal. And look, that just goes to show the potential that is out there on the quote-unquote rental bike. The problem is, yes, he made his way to the countdown, but you cannot give Gage Herrera and Richard Gatson an 80 and 100-point lead with 6 races. Because even if you win and they're runner-up, you're not going to make enough. You'd have to have them go out early, and we don't see that very often. No. So, congrats to the entire Vance and Hines team for getting a 3rd bike into the top 10 and into the countdown. Whether or not they end up running it or not remains to be seen. That'll be an interesting story if they do. But yeah, that was it's hard to disagree with your thoughts there. I mean, those two, they're definitely the best bikes that are out there, the most consistent bikes that are out there. But looking at these standings, I mean, Matt Smith, John Hall, Angie Smith, Chase Van Zandt could surprise. Maybe he doesn't get up to first or second, but he's only 30 points or 40 or so points out of third. That's a couple rounds. And like I say, we've got this variable of the 4 wide in the countdown.
That's true. I keep
never
forgetting
know
about
how
that.
this might play out. You get a couple guys that get a couple lucky days. Look back a couple years ago, we were talking about Gage winning everything there was to win. Hector Arana Jr. comes out of nowhere and wins Reading. Countdown.
Right.
Come from. So the class is unpredictable, and but they are second best to Top Fuel over the 17 countdowns. There have been 9 in Pro Stock Motorcycle that have won the regular season championship and the countdown to the championship. Forgot to mention in Pro Stock that number is 7. So Money Car is the least, Top Fuel is the most. But still, even at 10, that means every single category, you're looking at just about, well, I shouldn't say every single, half the categories, more than half of the countdowns have been won by a non-number 1 seeded driver. So if anybody's going to step up, now's your time to shine. Yeah,
it is. Great Indy. I'm looking forward to seeing how the playoffs start off and what we do, and what we see there. I'm looking forward to seeing how. I just hate the fact that there's a lot of drama that has been diminished because of participation trophies. So And you know that I don't know if you noticed that, but they actually took those cars and they reseated the points as if they were part of the countdown. Like, they separated them, like Buddy Hall and all those guys got separated from Blake Alexander, and they actually kind of staggered the numbers like they were actually in the countdown.
Oh, I didn't see that. I just I've only looked at the points updated on NHRA's website, and they have been since placed in front of those. So yes, Blake Alexander would be the best in funny car at 15th, and then in pro stock, same thing.
Yeah,
the best right there would be Mason McGahey. Has been bumped down to 14th, which I didn't realize that Kenny Dalco. I guess that makes sense. When Val Smeelan raced for him at Norwalk, he was there in on a medical waiver or a bypass to allow Kenny to have all of his starts to be in the countdown. So 13-man countdown in pro stock, 14 in funny car. Top Fuel, they don't have the little countdown clinch next to Sean Reed, but obviously he's in it. Same thing at the bottom of the pro stock motorcycles. They don't have it next to Bostic, Davis, and Steve Johnson, but obviously they're in the top 10. And it's going to be interesting. So you have two true top 10 shootouts, and then you've got two more than 10 shootouts. I guess my question to you would be, do you see anybody in those two categories coming from beyond 10th to even make the top 10 or make any kind of a difference in the rundown by the time we get through these next 6 races?
Absolutely not.
No.
Unfortunately, we still see we're still seeing weird stuff happen with Cruz. And that would be the only person I think that could probably move himself up, to 7th or 8th. But these massive explosions that keep happening when they thought they had it cured, and then it comes back. So that's the only problem I have with them is that. So outside of that, nobody.
They feel like, there's a mapping problem. We got it solved out. We realized we were, just simple error. We were tuning off the wrong curve, and then all of a sudden it goes up there in Indy and just Q1 turns into a bomb in the one of the, if not the best session of the weekend, which is an absolute shame for them.
It is. It really is. Man. So this weekend we have the NHRA Outlaw Nitro Series at Durana Raceway, and everybody, yes, it is Hebron, but nobody knows where that is. So it's Columbus, Ohio. That's where we're at. It'll be this weekend, and this is a really good lineup here. Looking at Top Fuel and Funny Car, man, we've got some names up here. You got Larry Dixon in the mix. Sean Reed is in the mix here.
So Sean Reed is basically. I was speaking with somebody earlier. He's on property, going to try and get in the car. It's going to be probably a good test for him to see if he can be in the car for Reading.
Yes.
But yes, he is intending on running the car. Some people thought maybe he might not be medically cleared to do it, but obviously he's available to run. Jasmine Salinas off that epic U.S. Nationals performance, coming over there, trying to continue kicking butt and taking names. Larry Dixon coming out of quasi-retirement, I guess if you'd call it, from the national event side of things.
Yes.
Bringing his car out. Greg Carrillo, haven't heard from him in a while. Peyton dragging the car out. Cameron Ferre, Chuck Lofton, Mitch King. Bernie Plord, 72 years old, first race in a Nitro Top Fuel car. And he's coming out here, the Northwest legend. Made his first pass down the track, I believe, in 1968, 1969. Used to race with Jerry Ruth and those guys way back in the Northwest. Top alcohol dragster winner in the NHRA side. Giving Nitro a try in a Top Fuel car. Krista Baldwin, of course. Lex June already won a race. Doug Foley, who holds both ends of the IHRA records now at 382, 321. And the weather is supposed to be better here than it was at the U.S. Nationals. So if they got that track groomed, I wouldn't be surprised to see that go downhill there too. And Scott Palmer, of course, winner of the first race back. So just on the Top Fuel side of things, when you look at that list of names and you get one shot in each lane on Friday, one in the afternoon, one in the evening to close out qualifying, you tell me if you could pick 8 of those guys that are going to race and 5 that are going to go home. That's going to be a tough one. And it's anybody's race.
Yeah, I can't. It is. That's what makes this thing so interesting. because you could easily say, okay, you can guarantee Larry, Sean, Jasmine, Lex, Doug, Scott, but
then you're okay. So what you named off 6 of them, right?
Right.
All right. Who's going to fill the last 2 then?
Maybe a Krista Baldwin.
Todd Payton, that car can run
right
380s, 390s. Mitch King can get that thing down the track. Chuck Lofton.
Cam Ferret can do it.
I mean, he's a 3-second player. I mean, all these guys got potential.
Yeah, and that's just saying because you think you know, but I guarantee you that's not how it's going to play out.
And all it takes is go out there and just, I broke a blower belt on one run and spun the tires on the other one. You're done. That's it.
Done.
You got 2 chances for glory.
Yep, it's going to be fun.
You could name those 6 drivers, and that could be 5 of your 6 DNQs.
Exactly.
You don't know.
You don't know. It is one. That's what I love about the 2 sessions, because it's pretty simple. You tune to the racetrack. If you're smart, you go out there, at least try to run a decent soft number first to get yourself in the show, and then you step it up second. Don't go for the gusto early, because you don't necessarily have to do that. I mean, we're not seeing 60s just yet in these classes. You don't need it.
When we talked about the very start and the return of the IHRA, don't go to this race thinking you're going to see an NHRA style race where everybody's running 60s and 340s. And you know what? You're going to see these guys get down the track. You're going to see some of them might even have to pedal it to make the show. You might see some broken runs. You might see some aborted runs. But you know what? These guys are out here trying, and they all got a chance. And that's something that NHRA tries to pride itself on. But you know darn well when you go to an NHRA race, if you took these guys and put them in an NHRA field, you're going to be like, that's no chance. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't give half of them a chance because you're like, no, you got Antron, you got Doug Clutty, you got Torrance, you know what I mean? You've got your list. Here, you could play favorites all you want, but there's no guarantee. And the fact that you take half the sessions away, and look at the funny car side of things. Same thing. I mean, we got 12 funny cars. There's 4 of those that are going to go home. Jim Campbell in a funny car coming back.
He's coming back.
Right. You got the Nitro Clown in there. Eric Stevens. I believe it's the Made in America funny car. Beautiful funny car from the Northeast that's coming. Mike McIntyre coming back to defend his win. Yes. How about father and son, the Haddocks?
Yeah.
2 cars out there to compete with each other. Todd Barker coming back. He was in the sand trap at the very first event, if you remember, just before the rain delay.
Yeah.
That car fixed up. He's going back. Jody Austin. Dan Hicks was runner-up at the Milan event, running solid 420s, just getting down the track, stunning people. Jack Wyatt, Dale Creasy Jr., and Del Worsham, obviously the winner of the Milan event. So tough field, and just anything can happen. You can look at that list and same thing. All right, show me 8 qualifiers, which 4 are going home. And you easily want to say, well, Worsham, Creasy, Wyatt.
Exactly.
Maybe the 2 heavy, but there's no guarantee that they make it down.
Right. That's what makes this thing fun. That's a good field, and it's definitely a bump. That's going to be fun to watch. Pro Mod and Outlaw Pro Mod with Pro Nitrous, I think they kind of need to blend one of these 2 together. But it's a really good field, decent field there of cars. Disco Dean is back.
He is. He's bringing the Cadillac out since he had an unfortunate incident with the Firebird, so he's bringing his Cadillac out. He'll be there running. Craig Sullivan, Robert Cox, Zach Sackman, who has a beautiful Batman-themed car. And I believe that was the one, unfortunately, they blew up everything they had at the very first qualifying session at Columbus, the very first race. And that was the one that had the unfortunate oil down all the way to the turnoff. But I believe that is the car that is owned and tuned by Brian Karate.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay, yeah.
We've got him out there, Randy Weatherford, who just won the 125K race with the Harts Charger car. Yeah. He's out there. Brad Eglian with the It's Not a Mustang Lumina. He'll be out there. Christopher Godado is a Dodge Ram pickup truck with a big old blower sticking out of the hood running Pro Mod.
That should be
Monday,
fun.
Tom Blinko, Joel Wensley, Kai Kelly, of course, back. Jason Lee. Paul Gibbs, as you see, is entered in both Pro Mod and Outlaw Pro Mod with two 1970 Cudas, one in outlaw trim and one in regular Pro Mod trim, two different colors, and then Jacob McNeil with another Cuda that's going to be out there. But the outlaw Pro Mod thing is really interesting. Billy Banica just ran to U.S. Nationals. He's going to be there with that car.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to see Frankie Taylor. I mean, these guys that is somewhat diminished the regular Pro Mod field. You've taken all these guys that should be technically one field and split them into three different categories.
Yeah.
You've got traditional Pro Mod. You've got let's go for everything we can go for Pro Mod, and then Pro Nitrous, because allegedly the nitrous cars just can't keep up. I'm sure with enough weight brakes or cubic inches, they might be able to. But look at the names in Pro Nitrous. Tommy Mooney and Ricky Smith in that list, with Jackie Sloan, Tony Wilson, who won the first race, Alan O'Brien, and Jim Widener.
That's going to be good.
Mean, Tommy Mooney and Ricky Smith, fresh off the U.S. Nationals, he's like, hey, I used to play in IHRA a lot. Let's go back and see what it's all about.
That's awesome. It's good
and you
to
can
see.
Never count him out anything that he enters.
Nothing. He is dangerous every time. Mount Motor Pro Stock. Look at Camry Caruso is back. That's good to see her back out there. I didn't have such a great time on the first go around. It'll be nice to see her getting back out there and getting after it.
They are full-time Mountain Motor Pro Stock. They are committed to that now. There is one name that's on this list, Miles Reese, that will not be there. That is actually supposed to be a 500 cubic inch Pro Stock car, another Mustang like Derek Reese has.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, since they don't have enough 500 cubic inch cars, they are not running it as a category. They have to have, I believe it was at least 4 or 8 that had to be entered for it to be considered a class.
Yeah.
So we will not have that. We're just going to be, I believe that's 14 or so Mountain Motor Pro Stock cars.
Yeah.
But I mean, the list of drivers here, same thing. Some of the best of the best. John Montecalvo, a class legend. Chris Powers has won an NHRA, PDRA, and IHRA this year. First driver to ever do that. National events in all three. Dylan Voss coming after a win after that 125K Pro Mod race. He was there. Strobe Lander in the team car. Dwayne Rice, Bill Neary. A lot of these guys that have been, staples of the category. And it's going to be another great show.
Oh, yeah.
Again, with the weather being what it is, we got hood scoops, we got carbs. They love the natural, the good air. I think it's going to be a 4.0, probably 4.05, 4.06.
Man, that'd be nice
when it comes down Friday night.
That would be nice.
It's going to be a tight field.
That's going to be nice. I think Mountain Motors Pro Stock should be the Pro Stock class. It's just not enough 500 cubic inch Pro Stockers out there.
Unfortunately, there's not. And the nice thing about Mountain Motor Pro Stock, which I don't believe any of these cars, unfortunately, are Mopars on the list, but you do have a mix of Ford and GM. So if you hate Pro Camaro, Mountain Motor Pro Stock's where you're at, because they are Ford-powered Ford Mustangs, and they are out there competing with the best of them. You still got even a couple of Cobalts in the field.
Yeah.
Older cars, some Camaros that are in the mix. It'd be nice to see somebody come out and pull out a Dodge, but even in the Mountain Motor side, other than Larry O'Brien, who was a Dodge staple for a long time, Doug Kirk back in the mid-'90s, who was a multi-time champion, tried running the Dodge with limited success. They just haven't really been as popular in this particular side of things, but it'd be nice to see one come out there and compete. And then you can at least bring back the true brand rivalry, which is unfortunately lacking in the 500-inch side.
Yeah, for sure. That is where it's at. I think Mountain Motor Pro Stock's where it's at. I'm not surprised at the top alcohol field. It's right after Indy, and I just think it's just kind of one of those things that people may have just had other plans. I think these classes will be better next year. For sure. Being that they can plan for it now, but Will's got an opportunity to go back to back here in the IHRA and get double wins here. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes down for him, and got a good group of top few Harleys as well. That's cool to see.
That is a very good group of Top Fuel Harleys. And I believe Jordan Peterson is also racing Top Fuel Harley. Is not on the list currently, but is supposed to be there. So, a nice contingent of Harleys. And the Alcohol Funny Car rank, same thing. Kyle Smith making the tow over. DJ Cox entered into field. Tony Bogolo, another class legend that's out there. Ray Drew would have likely been at Milan, but also runs in the Funny Car Chaos Series, and that was running at the same weekend. Unfortunately, got rained out. But it was too late to be able to get over and run Milan. But Phil Ez, fresh off the U.S. Nationals,
Yep.
540 contender there. And if the air is just as good or better here in Columbus, I mean, wouldn't be unheard of to see some 540s coming out of these guys.
Indeed. Yeah. This is a really good group of cars, a good group of classes out here that I think is going to be really competitive, and it's going to be fun to watch with the track. Temperature is going to be good. Air temperature is going to be good, and we don't have to waste a whole bunch of time preparing for each class. I mean, everybody hits the track the same way, and I think it works out just fine.
So tune in on Speed Sport 1, turn on Speed Sport 2, tune in on NHRA TV on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's going to be streaming at all times. Obviously, they put together prepackaged shows after the fact, so you can go back and watch an hour-long highlights version of your favorite category. But when you tune in and watch that show, it's different. You don't have a lot of track prep time. You don't have a lot of downtime. They run the classes rapid fire. A lot of times they still leave the blocks out there to 1,000 foot. They don't even bother taking them down. So we did have a little bit of an issue with that. They might be changing that, because if you remember the first Columbus, when Pro Mod came to the line, we kind of were mowing down a little bit too many blocks there.
Yes.
There's a little delay. So no rain in the forecast. It's going to be beautiful temperatures. No track prep between classes. I mean, when they come around the corner, man, it's just
go time.
Change over the timing system, and here goes the next category, and it's just rapid fire, and we try and keep everybody entertained.
Yeah, it's going to be good, and I think we're really going to see how well oiled this machine is, because there is no weather to affect it. Other than incidences, there's no weather to affect it. So I think we're really going to see how well oiled this machine is as far as the national event goes without weather.
That's a lot of nitro cars too. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yep, indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our show. It's been a good one. Like I said, I NHRA this weekend, so in between your football, make sure you have like at least 2 screens. I've got 2, sometimes 3. So I definitely will be paying attention to that. It all starts in the NFL on Thursday. What a week we're going to have. The Dallas Cowboys take on the Philadelphia Eagles Thursday night at 8:20 on NBC. Then Friday, we are in Brazil for Kansas City and the Los Angeles Chargers at 8:00 p.m. on Friday. I kind of have it on in the background. Make sure you're watching the IHRA coverage.
Kansas City, isn't that Taylor's team?
That's Taylor's team.
All right, I'll be watching that one.
Yep. They will be in Brazil, so that'll be interesting. It'll be on at 8:00 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Your Sunday slates are what they are. It's a lot of games. I will be watching Jacksonville and the Commanders. I'll have to have 2 screens on to watch that. They're both at 1:00. Your Sunday night games are Minnesota and Chicago Bears. On Monday, Sunday, it's Baltimore and Buffalo. So it should be a good slate of games there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for taking the time to watch the show. I know we were a little light in the comments. I know that this is after Labor Day, so it's all good. Those of you watching back, we really appreciate it. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share this thing. We're trying to grow and continue to grow here as time continues to go on. Well, in other words, for everybody here, good night, everybody. See you.